Brazen impudence. So, any of you guys who have heard of brazen impudence, my fellow Neville Goddard readers, welcome in. So, look, basically, if you guys don't remember what it is, it's where Neville talks about that you want to get to the point where you don't take no for an answer, where it doesn't matter what your circumstances are showing you. It doesn't matter if SP blocked you on all platforms. You're saying, I don't give a shit. SP simps for me. SP worships me. She is obsessed with me. So that's basically in a nutshell what brazen impudence is. And how can we get there, right? Because just because you don't believe 100% that your manifestation is going to happen doesn't mean that it won't. I've seen so many clients, I've seen many times in my own personal life where I wasn't 100% certain and I got all that and more. But I believe it's more powerful, and you owe it to yourself to have that confidence, that fucking nerve to walk around and know that you're God, and know your power, and know that it doesn't matter what this person says. It doesn't matter how many people are against me. Look at how many people were against Christ, and yet he didn't care. He followed his purpose to the very end and obeyed the Father to the very end. So yeah, when I was reading about brazen impudence, it really made me think, like, okay, well, is this something that can be taught? And I'm that type of a guy where even when people say, you know, charisma cannot be taught, it's just you either have it or you don't. But it's like, even that is a fucking limited belief, you bastard. Okay? Because I want to help people. And whether I have to teach people who are as Caucasian as Casper to be black, I'll do it. Because I'm starting to think that reality is not what it seems, all right? It's what you are. So if I could teach you how to have brazen impudence, I will go back to what I've always said, which is that you are God. And no, that doesn't mean that I put you above the Trinity. I do not put you above the Father. You did not create the heavens and the earth and Noah's Ark. But the 3D circumstances that you see, that is all your creation. The lack of money, the lack of success in your dating life, or the fact that SP has you blocked on all platforms and, you know, you're not getting the attention from her or him that you want, that is something that you created. Okay? It's your beautiful little creation. All right? So sit down on your throne just like God rested on the Sabbath, and just look for a second at all the times in the past where, before you saw the circumstances that you now do not like, before you started realizing that, you know, SP changed and they're no longer talking to me, before she blocked you, before you started having these issues in your dating life, see what you were thinking before that. And I guarantee you, if you really reverse engineer, you're going to realize that you were not thinking that you were the king, and that everywhere you go, they set the red carpet for you, and that whenever SP's around you, she has to keep going to the bathroom to relieve herself because of how sexy you are. Guarantee you we're not saying shit like that. Now, you might not have been telling yourself things consciously, but I for sure know that if you see nothing but rejection, you were rejecting yourself. So now that we understand those fundamentals, brazen impudence, if it is when you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, know that you have what you want, even when you don't see it out there, then the key is to detach from out there. I would say that behind confidence and behind understanding the fundamentals of manifestation, I truly believe that detachment from the 3D is one of the number one things that people struggle with the most. I mean, I think I could make a separate channel about detachment from the 3D, because even the, quote unquote, best manifestors, even though we're all manifestors, we've been manifesting our whole life, but the OGs in the game, we still struggle with that to this day, because you're always going to be met with the boss battle in your life. But how would you detach from the 3D? Well, like I've said, you understand that what you see right now is not a reflection of your affirmations and techniques that you're doing right here in this instant. It is a reflection of an assumption that you had previously. Just like when you go online and you order something that's on back order and it says, okay, so what are we in September? It says it's not going to be here until Christmas time, right? And by the time it actually arrives in the mail, you're like, oh shit, I forgot that I even purchased this. That's the same way that your reality is. Like right now, there's a school bus passing by, okay? At some point, a few months ago, I was sitting drinking my Starbucks drink, thinking about the scene where Heath Ledger, as a Joker, exited the bank in the school bus after one of the best opening scenes to a superhero movie to date. And now I see the school bus that reminds me exactly of that scene from The Dark Knight. And it's reflected back to me. Right? The same way with your SP. A lot of us have said, oh my gosh, this is such a coincidence. I was just thinking about Jimmy the other day, and look, I saw him at Whole Foods. It's not a coincidence. It's just you were simply detached from the importance of running into Jimmy, and it came quicker. The more detached you are from the 3D and from the importance, from putting this thing you're trying to manifest on a pedestal, the more quicker it's going to come. So that's a huge tip right there too, is if you want quick manifestation, you have to get to the point where it's not even that important, where you see everything the same, where you don't say, yeah, it's easy for me to, manifest $1 whenever I'm short on cash, but, with SPs, I don't know, I just seem to really struggle to get them. No. Okay. At one point, I had a whole infinity gauntlet of SPs at the same time. 6! Okay? I was a fucking whore, all right? And I did it for you guys, to show you that this shit is first grade math. Okay? This is kindergarten spelling. Okay? This shit is easy, guys. It is you who makes it difficult for yourself. All right? So when you realize that this is all a past assumption, it becomes more easier to walk around reality and detach. Like even yesterday, okay, because I have a second job. I still work in the restaurant business, right? I've gone through so many different restaurants because I love serving people. I love helping other people. And I have a boss who I've known for years, who, you know, we've worked at other places before, and she yelled at me yesterday for something stupid, right? And I thought to myself, in the past, I would get so bothered whenever a manager or a coworker would treat me like shit or disrespect me. Because I would say to myself, first of all, I would think like, you know, what am I doing wrong? You know, why are they treating me like this? Is it, you know, my physical appearance? Am I not acting tough enough and things like that? But I've been working on my self-concept already for a long time. And I've had really good improvements and confidence and all that. And it's been reflected. But I do remember a few weeks ago really thinking out of nowhere, like, you know, I don't know what it is, but this boss is just going to, you know, say something about my performance. And that thought just slipped in my mind. And I remember it recycling over and over again for a brief period of time, but then I quickly shifted out of that. But you see, I don't want to scare you guys, but that is simply all it takes for it to be reflected to you. But this wasn't the day of. This wasn't yesterday when I thought that thought. This was several months ago. But the law does not, it's going to reflect regardless, no matter what. So that's why it is extremely important for you to understand how reality works, to understand how affirmations work, and just how powerful you are. And again, this is not meant to scare you, right? Because another thing too is, you know, first of all, I'm not going to die if my boss, you know, says something about me, this and that, because literally the way it is with her is one day she can say something like that, and then the next it's like she's borderline flirting with me. Okay? So, I mean, if we know anything about women, first of all, I mean, their mood swings are like, you know, I mean, Florida weather. Okay? So we'll be shifting to different versions of her, like if I'm Ant-Man in the quantum realm. Okay? So at this point, when stuff like that happens, I'm extremely detached. So much so that I practically laugh at it whenever it happens, you know. And that's the way you have to be with 3D. You have to understand that if you wake up and, you know, everything's going wrong, you know, you drop all your laundry on the floor and now you got to pick it up, you know, the dog broke, you know, your favorite vase, whatever, you know, it doesn't mean necessarily that you did anything wrong today. This is just a reflection of a past assumption, and you got to ride the wave. But when you realize that life is bringing you things that you basically ordered previously in your Amazon account a few months ago, then just order something else on your Amazon account of manifestations and tell yourself everything works out for me. No matter if I get enough sleep or not, I always get what I want. Because the thing is, guys, the reason why we manifest more quicker when we are detached is because we automatically have that feeling of, yeah, it's going to happen, right? Without having to do these techniques, without having to do sats and visualizations, right? And it's because the way that it works is we have belief systems that are built off of whatever emotional experience that we once had, whether it was trauma or whether it was, you know, even a movie that we saw where we just understood, like, okay, if I do this, then B will happen, and blah 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 blue. And we put that in our inner belief system. And whether it makes sense to Joe over there, who probably would disagree with all of our fucking beliefs, if it works with us, we will feel that conviction. And all you have to do is feel that conviction. Just like the Bible says, faith is things unseen, and conviction of things that you can't see. Well, it's the same thing with assumptions. And when you have the assumption that, regardless of if people think that you're a great worker, but if you have the assumption that you suck and it really feels real to you, well, that's why you are seeing that reflected in your life, because it is a real conviction. And you didn't have to sit there, you know, visualizing, oh my gosh, I suck. I'm going to sit on my couch over here and just imagine me sucking and fucking up at work and my boss yelling at me. No, you just knew it to be true, because you just felt that way about yourself. Well, that's the same way that you can get with SPs, with a better career, with even physical appearance changes. But the problem is that we don't believe, right? So that's why we use techniques, not because they are required, but because unfortunately our ego is not going to believe it when we just say, yeah, I have an infinity gauntlet of SPs. Yeah, no matter what I do, I always have greatness come to me and all the money in the world. You know? So you want to get to the point where this is easy for you. So if I could give you affirmations, I would go out of my way to make them as ridiculous as possible. Okay? I am a king. Everywhere I go, they set the red carpet for me. I am incapable of mistakes, especially if you're one of those who fucks up at work. I am perfect. I am the best worker that this company ever asked for. They are desperate for me. They are lucky to have me. Things like that. Even tell yourself that you're the motherfucking CEO. Whatever. Right? But you want to get to the point where all of this is, you know, easy for you. I remember, I don't know why this story pops up in my mind right now, but I remember growing up, I was a huge Beatles fan. And they had a tribute band come to town. And I was like 5 or 6 years old, and my mom took me to see the tribute band. And it was a real amazing experience because they performed in a very popular concert hall. And it really felt like we were seeing something special, because this wasn't at the damn, you know, open mic lounge or, you know, some shady, you know, country shack in the woods. This was a legit, sophisticated concert. And even though I knew going in that it wasn't the Beatles, I basically told myself it was the Beatles, and it felt like that, right? And at that time, at 5 years old, my favorite song was "She Loves You" by the Beatles. Now, growing up, I as you evolve and you get older, you start liking the other songs, right? But I was a little kid. I really loved "She Loves You." I would play it all the time on my CD player. And they went through the whole set. They were only playing like the early 60s songs, right? So I knew, I was like, there's a good chance they're going to play it. They go the whole concert and they don't play it. and they get off the stage. And I remember my mom was, you know, happy that she got to take me, and I remember everyone was clapping, and it was, you know, it was a great concert, right? And I was happy too. But there was a huge wave of disappointment that came over me. And I remember there was a part of me to this day I will never forget. We were sitting in the back row, and I will never forget that I said, I don't care that they got off the stage. I'm not leaving until I get that fucking song. And sure enough, they literally come back from behind the stage and they say, hey, we got one more song. And it was, brum, brum, she loves you, yeah, yeah. And bro, literally, I could have, I mean, it was basically like a Taylor Swift concert, bro. I mean, I took off all my clothes. Everybody, security, you know, okay, no, it wasn't really that crazy. But bro, I don't even, I think I almost cried. I mean, dude, to this day, I still say that if it wasn't for me assuming that, they would have never came out. Because, you know, one thing is, when we know, if you know anything about tribute bands, they are supposed to mimic the actual band. And I looked up throughout, you know, I did research for several years, and I can't find a single time where they ended a show with "She Loves You." Like, you know, a lot of artists will have that song that they come back to for the encore, right? And I've noticed "She Loves You" has never been one, right? And so this is what they talk about when they say have childlike faith. If you want to enter into the kingdom, you have to be like a child, okay? It's not just talking about humility. It's talking about that undeniable, unmovable confidence that you're going to get what you want. I said that I'm not leaving here until I get "She Loves You." And I felt that I was going to hear it, because on the way to that concert, I knew that there's no way they're not going to play this fucking song, because, you know, when you think of, they didn't even play Revolver, Rubber Soul, or Sgt. Pepper. They only played from the 1960s and 1965. So I was like, dude, they have to play this song. Okay, yeah, the Beatles have fucking a billion greatest hits, but I mean, Jesus Christ, I mean, from 1960 to 1965, you can only play so much, right? So I knew I was going to get it, right? But the way that it happened was like, what the fuck, right? But I wasn't surprised, because I used my God power. And the same way that I use my God power there, you can use that too. Get to that point where you can use that childlike faith. And the best way is, especially if you've gotten to the point where you just created this reality where, dude, getting that SP seems so far out of reach. I mean, if you're the stud and you already get an infinity gauntlet like me, okay, good. But I guarantee you that that's not you, right? I guarantee you that if you had all the money in the world and you were satisfied, you would not be watching this video, right? So tell yourself the most ridiculous affirmations, that you're the king, that you're the most sexiest motherfucker that ever lived, that wherever you go, women wet their pants immediately when they make eye contact with you. And see what image pops up in your brain. If you want to visualize, there you go. Whenever you see dude, whenever I say that they get the red carpet for me, I see a red carpet automatically in my imagination. And again, it doesn't have to be an 8K IMAX, okay? The fact is, the more you feel like you have to do affirmations, yeah, I did robotic affirmations, but oh, I forgot to do sats. Like, dude, you don't even have to do visuals to be honest with you. You could even do inner dialogue where you hear your friend say, dude, you actually banged Sarah? Like, put that on loop. Dude, you actually banged Sarah? Dude, yeah. Okay, slow-mo. Dude, you actually banged Sarah? Dude, it's like, don't make manifestation more difficult than it needs to be. But if you really are like, I have to do visualizations, bro, I will not get out of bed until I do a sat session. Well, then just do an affirmation and see whatever image pops up, okay? Don't make this any more difficult than it needs to be, all right? But for affirmations, make sure that they're the most narcissistic, sadistic, crazy, above the pedestal affirmations you could think of, because you have been thinking so low about yourself. It's time to bring the spectrum all the way up here like a rubber band effect, okay? So let me know if you guys have any questions or you want to do consultations. I am Neil Larthos. This is all that the I'm Awareness had to say. I know you're going to be okay.